Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Mucking Fun Day. That's right. Hope you have your cup of coffee ready because it's going to be a hard one this week. Or maybe not. Depends on if you celebrate Valentine's Day, because that is this week. So, Friendship Day, I guess, is also for some people. Let's go ahead and go over our headlines today on Before Coffee. University or housing? The cost of living dilemma facing students.
Nearly half of the world's migratory species are in decline.
Finland's former prime minister to be new president after rival concedes.
And in the U.S., we have another shooting, and this time it's at a mega church.
How scientists reconstructed and recreated the huge statue of Constantine the Great.
Those stories and more, which is Clean Out Your Computer Day, February 12th. 2024 on Before Coffee.
Okay, first news story. Are you a student? Are you a young adult? Are you facing the dilemma of whether you want to have a house when you are 30 or whether you want to have a job? That's what's happening in the UK right now. This is from Euronews Business. I don't see who wrote it. Greta Rufino from Greta Rufino. 2 in 5 students in the UK have considered dropping out of university due to the cost of rent, while 3% have already done so, according to the new National Student Accommodation Survey in 2024 released by Save the Student. The survey, which asked over 1,000 students about their experience in managing housing costs at university, also revealed that 7% experienced homelessness during their studies. The results of this year's survey are deeply concerning and highlight how life in a cost of living crisis is at risk of becoming the new normal for students, Save the Students Communications Director Tom Alligam said. In January 2024, the government announced that maintenance loans in England would see a 2.5% increase for the 2024-25 academic year, mirroring the 2.8% increase observed in 2023 and 24. This prolonging of the cost of living crisis is largely thanks to below-inflation increases to maintenance loan in England, Allingham said. We're calling on the government to increase maintenance loans by well above 2.5 next year, close the inflationary gap, and ensure students can actually afford to cover everyday expenses like rent. For some students who successfully secured housing, the challenges persist. According to the survey, students who pay rent report an average monthly cost of £550 or €643. For 20% of them, the rent payments have been a continual challenge, while 44% stated they face occasional struggles, indicating that nearly 2/3 are grappling with rent expenses at least periodically. When the maintenance loan does not cover all student expenses, 3 out of 5 students said they borrowed money to pay rent. The main sources including parents, banks, friends, universities, credit cards, payday loans, or employers. In a total, 72% of students surveyed revealed that their health is affected by rental expenses, with 53% reporting it's somewhat affected and other 19 stating it's greatly affected. Additionally, among those facing accommodation issues, 45% mentioned that their student studies were impacted. It's a struggle to work full-time just to be able to afford accommodation, food, and bills. It makes me suffer as a student. It's hard to continue on, a student in a survey said. Besides rent costs and health struggles, many students are also facing ongoing difficulties with the accommodation they live in. Similar to findings from previous year, dampness emerges as the most prevalent issue, affecting over a third, 37% of surveyed students. This is closely followed by report shortages of water and heating, and disruptions caused by ongoing construction work. The water and heating is 29% of all students, and construction work is 18%. Yes. Having dampness and mold and mildew growing in your house while you're trying to study is actually incredibly bad for you. Some of those can actually affect not only your nervous system, but your just everything. Your breathing, your concentration. You won't get sleep at night because you're coughing because you're basically consuming toxic air. Despite some instances where housing issues are resolved quickly within a few days, a notable 35% report delays over a week in addressing concerns. When considering the future, some students perceive the housing situation as unlikely to improve over time. The survey asked about students' expectations for future home ownership, with the median age mentioned being 30. 14% don't plan to buy a house ever, while 7% won't buy until age 40 or older, citing high property prices and post-graduation debt as reasons. The maintenance loan in England needs a revamp, Chair of National Association of Student Money Advisor Kelly McAlonon said. Students can't be expecting to plug the gap between basic living costs and the student funding they receive, and it is because increasingly more difficult for institutions to shoulder the burden of a system that is not working. I heard a story which was about before I was alive, and this is about New York specifically, so I can't speak about the UK or anywhere else, but I heard a story that back in like the 80s or the 70s, there would be art students who would be paid by the city to live and go to art school or comedy school or any of these kind of arts, just any film school, all of these kind of cultural things. They would actually be supported to go to school. And now we're in this scenario where instead of supporting people to get educated so that they can become workers in our society, we expect people just to figure it out somehow. And not, like, there's an option there to not even go to university, I guess. And just figure it out from there, because it's not like your life is any better off if you go to university. At this point, master's degrees are useless. People just want you to have 10 years of experience straight out of college at this point. They want you to get internships where you're competing against 2,000 people to get that internship, you know? And then one day you'll get lucky. And where have you been working? I've been working at McDonald's for 10 years because nobody will hire me because I can't get relevant work experience, because they start off with you having relevant work experience from the get-go. But yeah, we're at the end stages of capitalism, that's for sure. And I guess that's your story.
Well, housing becomes unaffordable.
Yeah.
Well, if you're like the United States, which has a commercial real estate crisis, there's big buildings just full of offices and nobody renting them, and they're just empty buildings, and people just renovate them, make them into efficiency apartments, but nobody's doing that. They're just going to say, let's hope this commercial real estate, because people are working from home. They don't have to go to an office. They figured out that office buildings, what an unnecessary waste of fucking time. Just getting everybody together in one place, no good reason, Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, America's worse because they make you get to work, like, an hour you have to drive to work or something, like a lot of people in the world, right? Oh, sorry, in the U.S. A lot of people are driving for way too long just to get to work so they can sit in the office all day and then get stuck in traffic going home. And by the time they get home, it's 10 p.m. It's time for me to go to sleep.
There's a few major cities that have trains, but if you're like D.C., it might be on time. It might be there. Yeah. Or it might be broken. So, yeah. Is it my story?
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't normally cover shooting because they seem to happen every day in the United States, and that's all I would talk about. But this one's a little bit different. There's a variety on the old, let me just shoot people randomly some public place. We have a shooting in Houston, Texas at Joel Osteen's megachurch.
Wow.
This is maybe Juan A. Lozano. Super Bowl Sunday. A woman in a trench coat opened fire with a long gun Sunday inside celebrity pastor Joel Osteen's megachurch in Texas, sending worshipers rushing to find safety while two off-duty officers confronted and killed the shooter. Yeah, everybody in Texas does have a gun. That's true. Mm-hmm. 2 other people were shot and injured, including 5-year-old boy who was in critical condition. Well, that's fucking terrible. The violence erupted shortly before the Houston church 2 p.m. Spanish service was set to begin. Oh, well, we're just going to attack Spanish people. That's what it's about. Got it. Just as the rest of the country was preparing for the Super Bowl, the woman entered enormous Lakewood Church, a building with a 16,000 person capacity that was previously arena for the NBA's Houston Rockets. That's right, it used to be called the Summit. That's where the Rockets played.
Wow.
With the boy who was later hurt in the shootout with police. A man in his 50s was also wounded. Details of the confrontation remain unclear in the hours after the tragedy, and police have not released the woman's identity or possible motive. It is also unknown what relationship, if any, the woman had to the boy who actually shot him and the man. But it is also unknown what relationship, if any, the woman had to the boy and who actually shot him and the man. Okay. I will say this, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner told reporters during a news conference outside the church, that female, that suspect, that baby in that danger, I'm going to put that blame on her. So nobody's actually sure who shot who or if she actually shot anyone. So it could have been
bullets flying,
crossfire.
Yeah.
Bullets flying. Everybody in Texas has a gun. The boy was in critical condition at a church. I'm exaggerating, not everybody. The boy in critical condition at a children's hospital, while the man was stable in a different hospital with a hip wound. The shooting happened between services at the megachurch, was regularly attended by 45,000 people every week, making it the third largest megachurch in the U.S. According to the Hartford Institute for Religion Research, Osteen said the violence could have been much worse if it had happened during the earlier, larger 11 a.m. service. The witnesses told reporters that they heard multiple gunshots. Christina Rodriguez, who was inside the church, told Houston television station KTRK that she started screaming, "There's a shooter, there's a shooter." Then she and others ran to the backside of the library inside the building and stood in the stairway before they were told it was safe to leave. Longtime church member Alan Guti, whose family was from Honduras, said he was resting inside the church sanctuary for the Spanish service as his mother was working as an usher when he heard gunshots. Boom, 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 and I yelled, "Mom," he told the Associated Press. The 35-year-old ran to his mother and they both laid on the flat floor and prayed as the gunfire continued. They remained there for about 5 minutes until someone told them it was safe to evacuate. Outside, Guti said he and his mother tried to calm people down by worshiping and singing in Spanish. Move in me, touch me, my mind and my heart, move within me, Holy Spirit. Despite the chaos, Finner said the tragedy could have been a lot worse if the two officers had not engaged the woman when she opened fire. They had been working security of the church on Sunday, and Finner praised them for the quick actions. Officers worked for the police department and Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, respectively. Both have been placed on protocol mandated administrative duty. After she was shot, the woman told police that she had a bomb, but authorities said no explosives were found when her vehicle and backpack were searched. First responders continued to search the megachurch for hours afterwards. Osteen said Sunday that his congregation was devastated. He added that he would pray for the victims and for the woman who did the shooting and their families. It was not clear where he was at the time of the shooting. Obviously, he wasn't a target. We're going to stay strong and we're going to continue to move forward, he said during a news conference in the police. There are forces of evil, but the forces that are for us, the forces of God, are stronger than that. So we're going to keep going strong and, doing what God called us to do, lift people up and give people hope to the world. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a statement. He's an idiot, so we won't read it. The judge has grown tremendously over the past 25 years since Joel Osteen took over his father's death in 1999 and introduced an upbeat style of Christian television that has captured the followings of millions. His televised sermons reach about 100 countries. Elder Osteen founded the church and a converted feed store in 1959. So that's your daily shooting in the United States. This one's at a church. And
hopefully they have some sort of
how the bystanders may have been injured by other bystanders, for all we know. But I'm sure we'll get some investigation at some point.
I mean, it just happened, right? So nobody even knows why it happened. We can only sit here and make up theories.
Anything? What's that?
We can only sit here and make up theories on why it happened because they haven't revealed why it's happened.
Yeah. They'll blame everything but guns.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Well, hopefully they'll have some sort of aid drive for the child and the man who got shot. I wouldn't personally, if Osteen is collecting that money, I wouldn't give it to him. I would give it to the family or whoever. I would not give it to directly to the megachurch. They probably have enough money to pay for any of the things that happened. They're a megachurch, okay? Megachurches are huge scams, money-making schemes. So while some people do get good support from megachurches, would not give them my money for any reason. Alright, let's go ahead and head on to our next news. We talked about Finland's new president or presidential election last week, and we've got an update. This is from Miranda Bryant on The Guardian. Finland's center-right former Prime Minister Alexander Stubb will be the next president after winning an election runoff with rival Pekka Haavisto in the country's most high-stakes presidential election in a generation. Stubb, of the National Coalition Party, declared victory on Sunday night, and Haavisto, a former foreign minister and member of the Green Party running as independent, congratulated him. When all votes were counted, the final tally gave Stubb 51.6% of the vote, nearly half, about 46% of voters were permitted to take part in early voting to do so, according to official data. Stubb, 55, said the role would be the greatest honor of his life. He added the task of President of the Republic is a lot bigger than a person. He had said before the election that a Russian full invasion of Ukraine had convinced him to return to Finnish politics and help face down Moscow. But after the vote, he said his message was one of peace. We must remember that one of the president's main tasks is to ensure Finland promotes peace, and I will do that, as President Stubb said. Conceding just before the 9 p.m. local time, having already fallen behind in early voting, Haavisto shook hands with Stubb, thanking him and wishing him success in your work. Stubb was born in Helsinki and has been a member of the European Parliament, a member of Finland's parliament, prime minister between 2014 and 2015, and just a normal minister. So he is what you'd call a career politician. He's done all the roles. He's got all the experience. Outside politics, he's worked as vice president of the European Investment Bank, as professor of EU University in Florence, and is a keen triathlete. Fun fact, he has 2 grown-up children with a British-Finnish wife, a lawyer, Susanne Ina Stubb. He will succeed the 2-term president Sauli Niinisto, who oversaw his country's accession to NATO. In the first round ballot 2 weeks ago, Stubb and Haavisto won 27.2 and 25.8 of the votes respectively, which we talked about. But they kick out the far right, and that's what's great. Okay, as long as the far right's not in power, that's all I want to celebrate. Call me closed-minded, but I don't want anyone far right doing anything anywhere. In the frantic final days of campaigning, the candidates of personal lives and attitudes to nuclear weapons came into sharp focus. Haavisto bidding to be the country's first green and first gay president. Question why? Yeah, we talked about that already. And last week we talked about how, why are people caring about me being gay? Doesn't matter. The 65-year-old said he had been surprised the way a 6-year-old had become an issue of public interest. The Finnish president is the head of state and commander-in-chief of the army and responsible for foreign policy and cooperation with the government. International security and defense have been a high priority to Finnish voters, especially since Russia can just walk into their country and they're like, oh shit. Amid accusations of Moscow instigating hybrid operations on Russia and Finland's shared border, leading Finland to temporarily close the frontier in its entirety. Stubb has described foreign policy and security as existential issues for Finland. He told The Guardian early in the campaign, for Finland, foreign policy, security policy is existential. As well as public debate of Haavisto's sexuality, nuclear weapons were also a central topic. While Stubb is in favor of allowing nuclear weapons to be transported through the country, Haavisto, who previously worked on UN peace negotiations, wants to maintain Finland's nuclear weapons ban. I mean, yeah, there is a risk there that if Finland has nuclear weapons and for some reason Russia decides they want them, they could go into Finland and get a nuclear weapon. Not that they need anymore. I'm sure they have plenty, but there's a risk there. You're creating like a candy for the baby of Russia to chase after in a way. We can't let Finland have nukes. We have to take it from them so we can properly take care of the world, because I think Russia does have this or Putin in himself, right? The big two superpowers, Russia and the US, they do have this kind of protector of the world kind of vision in their head, that they're the only ones who can keep the world in peace and do everything correctly, and they have the right ideas and everyone else has the wrong ideas, and they need us to help shepherd them into making the right decisions. That is definitely a problem with Russia and the US, how they globally work as governments. So yeah, having a nuke in your country could definitely existentially threaten Finland. There's my opinion on that news. Congratulations, Stubb. Hopefully everything goes well. Your story.
Yeah, man. And Finland famously has a long border with Russia.
Yep.
So it's important that they stay a democracy, not sit around and go, I hope Russia's nice to us when they invade.
If I give Putin all
That's
of my
what
candy, he will treat me really well.
Belarus
I want to be a vassal state so badly. That's vassal states.
Okay, so science news, if we're back to me yet.
Here we are.
Today's birthdays in Black History Month today is Arsenio Hall's birthday. Talk show host is 69, and Bill Russell would be 90 today.
Wow.
And there really is no events on February 12th. It's also Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and he freed the slaves. So there you go. Other than that Black History Month on the internet is basically pop-up ads and crap. If you click on it, it's like, okay, you're not going to give me pictures and more ads and Twitter. I'm not going to Twitter, sorry. So yeah, I've been looking it up all morning, and of course, the internet dropping the ball for me. Just not making it easy. In science news, nearly half of the world's migratory species are in decline, UN reports. It says this is from Associated Press. Christina Larson, Washington, D.C., AP. Nearly half of the world's migratory species are in decline, according to the new United Nations report released Monday. Many songbirds, sea turtles, whales, sharks, and other migratory animals move to different environments with changing seasons and are imperiled by habitat loss, illegal hunting and fishing, pollution, and climate change. Of course, we covered the monarch butterflies last week. Totally in decline. At least the ones that are landing in Mexico. True. Maybe they're landing somewhere else.
No, I would just say those. You're right. Those are actually migratory birds. Or butterflies.
Migratory insects.
They're birds
now.
About
44,000 migratory species worldwide are declining in population, the report found. More than a fifth of the nearly 1,200 species monitored by the UN are threatened by extinction. These are species that move around in the globe. They move to feed and breed, and they also need stopover sites along the way, said Kelly Malsh, lead author of the report, released at the UN Wildlife Conference in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Habitat loss and other threats at any point in the journey can lead to dwindling population. Migration is essential for some species. If you cut migration, you're going to kill the species, said Duke University ecologist Stuart Pym, who was not involved in the report. The report relied on existing data, including information from the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List, which tracks whether a species is endangered. Participants of the UN meeting plan to evaluate proposals for conservation measures and also whether to formally list several new species of concern. One country alone cannot save any of these species, said Susan Lieberman, Vice President for International Policy at the nonprofit Wildlife Conservation Society. At the meeting, 8 governments from South America are expected to jointly propose adding 2 species of declining Amazon catfish to the UN's treaty list of migratory species of concern. Migrating catfish. The Amazon River Basin is the world's longest fish freshwater system. If the Amazon's intact, the catfish will thrive. It's about protecting the habitat, Lieberman said. In 2022, governments pledged to protect 30% of the planet's land and water resources for conservation in the UN's Biodiversity Conference in Montreal, Canada. So there we are, trying to protect those species that are dwindling. As you know, migratory paths are a lot of times blocked by borders that humans put up artificially for no reason other than to keep people on the other side. But your migratory beings, they never hurt you. They're not there to rip your face off. They're just going to go breed and just have their eggs or later their offspring somewhere else. And, you know, this cycle of life, you know. But humans, again, are failing in our stewardship of the planet. Back to you.
I found an article on the Black American entrepreneurs you probably didn't learn about.
Oh.
You want to read that, maybe?
Well, I can't read it now.
Well, no, you can read it next because you said there's no day today, so you can just do a Black History segment. Okay, let me send it to you on Facebook.
I did one.
Huh?
Plus I sent you a video of Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Oh yeah, I got it. Well,
Did
if
you
you're,
get
I
it?
don't know, you're interested, or I just send it to you for later, I guess.
Well, I can't. What am I supposed to do now? Is read it? Something else? I don't have anything else. It's
No, I just
fine.
thought you said today's day in history is like there's nothing happening, so it's not going to be a really long segment.
Oh
so.
no! I was just doing Black History Month.
Yeah, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now time
Did you
for
send me a
my
link or
story
something?
then. Culture segment. Speaking of science, scientists have recreated the huge statue of Constantine the Great. But how did they do it? This is from Euronews Culture by Theo Ferrant and AP. The 11-meter structure was recreated using high-tech software to scan a handful of surviving fragments. It once sat majestically at the heart of ancient Rome. Now a vast statue of Emperor Constantine the Great is returning to the Eternal City thanks to a high-tech reconstruction based on surviving marble fragments. It's somewhere between documenting and recreating and interpreting. But I really hope that this is the beginning of a revolution of how to share and how to show, explains Adam Lowe, the director of Factum Foundation, who oversaw the meticulous reconstruction process. Who was Constantine the Great? Well, I guess he was great. Born in 306 AD in Nisus, now part of Serbia. That's right, Serbia. Constantine became one of the most influential Roman leaders of all time, strengthening the empire enormously. But he is perhaps most famous for having converted to Christianity, and experts believe the enormous statue of him served as recognition that Christianity had become the empire's religion. The so-called Colossus of Constantine, which dates to early 4th century, has a monumental statue erected to celebrate Constantine's reign. Originally some 11 meters tall, it was later broken up and pillaged for bronze. In the 15th century, the few surviving fragments were found: the head, right arm, wrist, right hand, right knee, right shin, right foot, and left foot. Hey! He's got all his feet. Not all his hands. They never found the left arm and left hand, but he's got all his feet. Good for him. It reminds me of a quest I had to do in a video game once where I had to collect all the parts of the statue and put it back together. Despite the surviving fragments being rediscovered in 1486, it was initially mistaken for a statue of Emperor Commodus. It was only at the end of the 1800s, what year am I in? The fragments were correctly identified as being part of the Colossus of Constantine. How was the giant statue reconstructed? Well, now Romans and tourists alike will be able to admire a copy of the statue in its entirety, completely similar to the original, thanks to 14 months of work by Factum Foundation. Based in Madrid, Factum Foundation creates accurate and high-resolution digital documentation of cultural heritage sites and works of art around the world. To make facsimiles, oh, I can't say that word, facsimiles, yeah, facsimiles of destroyed, damaged, and looted or lost artworks. They spent 3 days scanning the fragments in 2022 in March using photogrammetry techniques. A 3D model was then made of each fragment, after which it was placed on the digital version of the statue, which drew on the shapes and other cult statues from that era in similar poses. Yeah, specifically other cult statues, not other cut statues, other cult statues. I don't know if that's correct, but other cult statues. The complex reconstruction from the foundation had to take several factors into account, such as the type of marble the fragments are made out of, their restoration, and how to add on replicas of the missing parts. Once the 3D scanning was done, they set about reassembling the Colossus. The team used resin and polyurethane, as well as a marble powder, gold leaf, and plaster cast of the marble and bronze parts for the statue. For the internal structure, which was likely originally made of brick, wood, and metal bars, they created a support in aluminum, because we're living in the modern era. The imposing recreation of the seated emperor is now located in a side garden in the Capitoline Museum, just around the corner from the courtyard where the original fragments of Constantine's giant feet, hands, and head are prime tourist attractions. I'm gonna check out this video, supposedly, of what it looks like. Because they're saying it's 11 meters tall. Oh, that's pretty big.
Oh.
So imagine if your its foot is about the size of a toddler. So it's pretty big. And it's not standing, it's sitting down, holding an orb and like a staff. So it could be taller if it was standing up straight. Pretty big. Its chest is probably the size of an overweight American. Ha ha. Terrible joke. It's pretty big. It's huge. 13-meter replica of the statue was unveiled on the 6th of February 2024. So, happy reconstruction to Constantine the Great. And I guess on to your day in history and Black History Month.
Okay, this day in history. I guess I got the link you sent me. Let's see if I can open it. Is it a story?
The story with the slideshow, so you can, and it has descriptions on the slides of who it is and why they're important or whatever. What they did, what they entrepreneured.
Well, maybe I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. You just said you couldn't find anything good, so I just found something.
Yeah, it's alright. I'm just my fault. I'm slow.
It's
okay.
Walking Fun Day.
Day in history. Fanfare.
Yay!
Well, here's some fucked up news from way back in the mists of time. 1554. At age 16, Lady Jane Grey, the titular Queen of England, was executed in London by order of Mary I, Bloody Mary as she was known. 16-year-old, who Lady Jane Grey was famously the wife of Henry VIII. At 16.
Yeah.
It was a different time, folks. I don't know what to tell you. People lived to be 40. Let's put it that way. He got married young. If you're a royal family, you're lucky somebody chop your head off before you're 40. 1804, in this day, German philosopher Immanuel Kant died. That's K-A-N-T. Died in Königsberg, Prussia, which is now Kaliningrad, Russia, or Kaliningrad, Russia. Immanuel Kant. Never said he can't. 1809, British philosopher. In 1809, British naturalist and philosopher Charles Darwin, who developed the theory of evolution by natural selection, was born. So it's Darwin's birthday. Charles Darwin, born today. 1851, gold was discovered in east central New South Wales, sparking Australia's first gold rush. East central New South Wales. Okay, there's a lot of directions.
Where are we? I can tell you precisely
where do you live?
where we are.
What's that?
Well, it's just fun, like all the directions. I can tell you precisely where we are. Okay, we're east, central, south.
Yeah, that's right. Tonight the Bloods are playing the East-West Chester North Stars, champions of the Southern Conference. That's from Cheech and Chong. That's a Cheech and Chong skit. Basketball Jones, the East-West Chester North Stars. 1912, Pai Yi, the last emperor of China, abdicated at the end of the Chinese Revolution. So that was the end of the Chinese royalty, I guess you would call it. Dynasties. The dynasties, that's what we're talking about. 1934, American basketball player. Well, he probably played baseball too. I can't read today. American basketball player Bill Russell, one of the greatest defensive centers in NBA history, and the first black coach to win a major professional American sports team. He won a championship as a coach too. He was born in this day, 1934. We also covered. He's 90. In 1953, the Egyptian government signed an agreement with Britain, granting self-government for the Sudan and self-determination with 3 years for the Sudanese. In 1994, thieves broke into the National Gallery in Oslo and stole the Scream. Like that. That's that picture.
Wow.
All right, quick. Eddie's both hands for that one. Okay. One of several versions Norwegian artist Edvard de Munch made of his famous painting. So he made several copies of the Scream, apparently. Somebody stole one of them, and doesn't say whether it was recovered. Oh no, it was later recovered. That was later.
The scientists can reconstruct it. Don't worry.
It says later recovered.
Okay.
I can't read this morning. In 2002, which is a palindrome, Slobodan Milosevic, president of Yugoslavia in 1997 to 2000, went on trial for war crimes in The Hague at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. He died 4 years later before the trial had ended. Well, at least we got to torture him for 4 years. 2019, as per the terms of the Prespera Agreement in 2018, the Republic of Macedonia formally changed its name to the Republic of North Macedonia. Speaking of directions, birthdays today: Abraham Lincoln, birthday, born in 1809. Alice Roosevelt Longworth, American politician and socialite. Obviously a Roosevelt kid. 1884 was her birthday. 1893, General Omar Bradley was born on this day. United States general during World War II, command of the entire. He was actually Eisenhower's boss. And then Eisenhower got made everybody's boss. We already covered Bill Russell twice.
Yep.
1948, Ray Kurzweil, American computer scientist and futurist, was born. In our featured biography, they're listing Abraham Lincoln again. He was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky, and of course died in Washington, D.C. Featured event, Chile's independence from Spain declared. In 1818 on this day, although the decisive victory over the Spanish did not come until April, at the Battle of Maipú, Chile, formally declared independence from Spain on this day in 1818, the first anniversary of Chile's victory of Chacabuco. And what day is it today? It is also this day in let's see what we got here. Back to I was looking at. This day in, I think it was 1990. Boy, I'm bad at this. When you go away from a page and goes back, it doesn't say where you were on the page. It goes back to the top. That's not right. I had the page open. Dum, dum, dum. Well, on this day, and I think it was on this day in the year 2000, Screamin' Jay Hawkins died. American singer, songwriter, and musician Screamin' Jay Hawkins died at the age of 70 after emergency surgery for an aneurysm. A Golden Gloves champion at 16, he was married 9 times, fathered over 30 children.
Wow.
You think you lived a life? 30 children. Spent 2 years in jail and was temporarily blinded by one of his flaming props on stage in 1976. He recorded I Put a Spell on You in 1956, which was covered by many, of course, famously by Creedence Clearwater Revival, which, knocked it out of the park. And that's the famous version, but they we're basically copying old Screamin' Jay. And nobody could copy Screamin' Jay Hawkins. So on this day, 24 years ago, we lost Screamin' Jay Hawkins. And national days besides that, today it is National Football Hangover Day. So if you spent that 12 hours watching that overblown game with the ridiculously expensive commercials and a rock concert or whatever, the pop music concert at halftime, and overblown, overpriced seats, and yeah, well, you got a hangover. You feel better now? You wasted an entire day. Had a whole bunch of people come to your house, rip the place apart. It's also Clean Out Your Computer Day, and it's National Plum Pudding Day. Those are it for today.
National
February
Plum Pudding
12th,
Day.
2024.
2024 before coffee. All right.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and upload this.
Try to drag this out more. I thought I was dragging it out. And we were rubbing my. Am I on camera still?
Yes. Okay. Right.
No.
I was still putting the thing up. Okay. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands, where the sun is out. It's still Monday, and we're gonna get through this, guys. The beginning of the week. Don't feel if you're single, don't feel so bad about Valentine's Day, because I don't celebrate it myself. And we'll see you tomorrow for Good News Tuesday. So all good news tomorrow. Here's your mic drop moment.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.